Hey guys, and welcome back to another Movie Mates episode. I'm Matthew, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host and best friend,
Cal.
Callum. Yes, we're back today with another podcast episode after quite a long hiatus. But we have been trying, haven't we, Callum? We had a few audio issues recently.
We have.
Yeah.
But quite unfortunately, there's trials and tribulations to using Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. You learn from it and move on, I guess.
Exactly. We're just trying this over a new format, obviously due to the current situation of lockdown.
Yeah.
So please excuse if there's any audio; it might not be the same, but we are trying our best. We are trying our best. Callum, do you want to let people know what our topic is today?
Yes, the topic today is films about musicians, not musicals, musicians. And the today's films include Yesterday, Whiplash, and A Star Is Born. Is that correct? Or
Yep,
are those
100%.
the ones that you have also reviewed?
Yeah.
And there's other ones that we hope to talk about in the future.
Definitely.
Those are our films for today, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Likewise. So just before we kick off with our first film, thank you to everyone who has supported us over the last few months. We really appreciate it, and we'll hopefully get more podcasts and other videos out for you guys during lockdown. So Callum, what film did you want to start off with, my friend?
I thought we would kick off with Whiplash. Start chronological in order of release.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just right off the bat, about this film, like it's up there for top 10 for me already.
I mean, it's an incredibly impressive film, but I think it's quite to a particular taste.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if you don't enjoy the music of the drums, it's going to get quite tedious.
There is quite a lot of
there's some very extended sequences of just playing the drums.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan?
You know what? Kinda, yeah, but I didn't really appreciate it as an instrument before as much as I should have before seeing this film because, Miles Teller, I assume he learned the drums for this.
He already played the drums, but he took 3-4 hour lessons a week.
Because that's really interesting because I love actors who can do their own stunts and just action scenes as well. Sort of there's a similar vein for that. We've seen castings like Charlie Cox in Daredevil, he does his own stunts, and this is different but sort of similar. I'm glad they cast an actor here who can do the drums and do it really well.
Yeah, because there are often instances where them being a musician is a crux to the film, and then they just end up pasting the actor's head onto an actual musician's body. I think that's just embarrassing because then you haven't really acted. The person playing the instrument has done your acting for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What I thought was really interesting about this film was I after I'd seen it, I went on Wikipedia as you do and found out that Damien Chazelle had directed it.
Yes, it's director of La La Land.
La La Land, yeah. So this guy, really talented guy, really talented. You know more film trivia than me. Is his sort of wheelhouse sort of music films? Yeah.
To be fair, I don't really know his oeuvre beyond these two films, but I imagine it's so expertly directed that it must be his trademark.
Mm-hmm. It's really well made, I think, yeah.
Exceptionally so, yeah. I mean, I don't particularly enjoy drumming, but I do surprisingly enjoy a bit of jazz. But in all honesty, I could not tell the difference between good and bad drumming. Because there's instances have you heard of Freaks and Geeks?
No.
It's a show created by Paul Feig. And it sort of shows a lot of modern comedy actors in their teen years in a high school comedy. And there's one character played by Jason Segel, and he's meant to be a really terrible drummer, but like I think he sounds fine. You know, I like
Yeah.
that's the whole point of one. Like, there's only 18 episodes, and like the point of one episode is that he's like a shit drummer, and so he can't like make his dreams come true. And I just couldn't tell you that that was bad drumming. I think it's such a hard instrument to determine quality.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I think there is a lot of instruments out there where I think it is easier to tell if they're poorly played. Like, I think the guitar is a perfect example, or the piano. But
Yeah,
with the drum kit, I don't know whether this is probably like an ignorant. It probably I am probably being quite ignorant here because I've never played the drums or anything. But it probably is harder. I think you are right. It is harder to determine a bad drummer. But likewise, I remember our English teacher, like we doing the spring concert. She always said like there's nothing worse in a band than a bad drummer, and
really.
I sort of can relate to that because like the drums are, the focal point really of a tune and a rhythm. So I think they're arguably the most important, but likewise the hardest to determine if it's good. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I think a lot of instruments are easy to determine because like you can tell tune,
Mhm.
whereas percussion instruments, I think it's more difficult uh, because it's meant to be a loud banging noise, but it's hard to distinguish whether a loud banging noise is a good kind or a bad kind.
Yeah, 100%. John, I'm happy to crack on with any of your opening points for the film, dude.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what I would say the pièce de résistance of the film is the performance of J.K. Simmons,
Oh,
for
man.
which he earned a supporting actor Academy Award,
Honestly,
and
mate.
he's just incredible.
I sort of put this down in the notes, and I don't know whether it's me because I watched it recently or not, but I think it could be up there for performance of the century. It was that good.
Okay, okay.
Like real, I'm probably gonna look back at this in like a few months and think, I probably shouldn't have said that. But honestly, like I thought it was perfect. It was so good for what his character is supposed to be. I thought it was characterized perfectly, and well deserved the best performing or best supporting actor rather.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen, and so sort of in the way that they give out best adapted screenplay, he's probably one of the like best adapted characters
Oh
because it's
yeah,
clearly what the director wanted. I
definitely.
don't know if you knew this, but the film's actually based on a short film that Damien Chazelle made.
Oh really?
Yeah, it starred Johnny Simmons in the Miles Teller role, but like uh, J.K. Simmons has been in it throughout, so he was also in the short film, which surprised me because like big name actors aren't usually gravitated towards short films, but he's equally impressive in that. The short film's basically what the scene where he throws the chair
Hmm.
at Andrew. That's pretty much adapted from that short film,
That's
and
really interesting, actually.
yeah, his performance in that's equally impressive, I'd say.
That's the thing. Like, it's to come from a short film. Like, I think I've written it down here. Whiplash won Best Film Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Supporting Actor for Simmons, and also got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Picture. Like, I guess that really is indicative of Damien Chazelle's talent to bring it from a short film into a full motion picture, and then also that's sort of, I suppose, evident in J.K. Simmons picking up the project as well.
Yeah, clearly the impressive nature of the writing shone through immediately for such a huge actor to have signed on.
Yeah, totally, bro, totally.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about the character of Fletcher,
Yeah.
because I don't really understand like his bullying mentality, because he clearly considers himself a great leader, but a real leader like shows you how to improve, and I don't really understand how he's revered and respected. Everybody in that school wants to be in his class because
Yeah,
he's such a respected figure, but how is he a respected figure in the teaching community? Because while it may get results, like it just appears like laziness to me. He
yeah.
blames them for actually acting as a teacher. He just expects to like bully talent out of them. Uh,
No, I
like
can relate to that because it does sort of seem like I think the film does sort of tread the careful line between the characters respecting Fletcher but also fearing Fletcher, and sometimes I think those lines are sort of blurred, and sort of especially with his relationship with Andrew in the film, and it's just it is a I do know where you're coming from, because for him to become so successful in his field, obviously there that leads to the question, why do people respect him if he's such a harsh, brutal character?
Yeah, because like their talk in the bar is sort of, meant to have us understand his mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But I've known so many teachers who just scream at their students and expect them to improve, and it never works as well as just guiding them, because then you're not a teacher.
Yeah.
You're letting them do work for you.
Mm-hmm. Like
I understand why anyone would give him that level of respect.
I know, like whilst Simmons is like a wonder to watch, I think his characters I suppose can be criticized for the narrow margins between him being, as you said, like a successful teacher and performer, and also that of someone who is really rude and ignorant and kind of, I guess he's definitely characterized as a bully. There's no other way about it, really, is there?
Yeah, I fully agree.
But this is actually the first film I've seen Miles Teller in since Fantastic Four, and in that film, I guess you don't really see his full range of acting ability, but he's excellent, I think.
Yeah, I'd say in Fantastic Four, which I'm sure we'll speak about in the coming days. Yeah, he's given a very narrow. He's not given much room to show his acting talent, as you said,
Yeah.
and I guess because that's like that film is one genre. Like it's obviously a sci-fi film, but this like defies genres. You can't place this into a genre, which is why I made this episode a theme rather than a genre. I said we should talk about musicians in film, because you can't place this in a genre, can you?
No, it's so much different films into one. I think that's where its main strength lies. Actually, it's such a you know performance piece in the music of it, but also like it's a character study of both Fletcher and Miles Teller's character. That's the thing. Like, I just think there's so many. Like, most of my notes for this are just hilarious quotes, to be honest. But I really can't commend the film enough for like it's just multi-layered, sort of multi-layered aspect. Like, there's so many different stories in there, but that works to its advantage, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'd say some of my favorite Fletcher quotes are unrepeatable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of my. I've went for the. I've went for the more PC ones.
Do you want to throw out your favorite of the acceptable ones?
Well, my favorite one's not actually from Fletcher. It's from Andrew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
throw
it's
at
during.
us.
Yeah. So it's during the scene where he's having dinner, and the two gentlemen who would like to play for the NFL are taking fun or making fun out of Andrew.
It's so hilarious because I've never understood, like, Americans, like, undying, unwavering support of sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in America you can get like a full scholarship to university based on playing a sport,
Yeah,
and
it's just
that's
so
just
ingrained in their culture, isn't it? Like that's unheard of
always.
here.
Yeah, because like they mock him, getting to such heights of success in music, which is a talent that he's honed all his life, just like them playing sports is, and yeah, they completely dismiss him. Like, it's just so baffling to me,
Yeah.
because like in the UK, we would be like much quicker to respect the musician.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like what one particular line that is my favorite in the film is when they're sort of taking the mick out of Andrew and say, "Come play for us," and then Andrew responds, "Four words you'll never hear from the NFL." And I thought that was excellent. Like, this film was so well written, isn't it? It's just perfect.
Oh, it's exceptional, and I think Miles Teller has one of my favorite comedic deliveries. That I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
sort of like him and Ryan Gosling share like that completely dry, dark wit.
I think it's very
The
similar
that
to yours. It's sort of I start to see
Yeah,
similarities there in the delivery.
yeah, it's sort of like cutting and sarcastic, and that is sort of what I strive for.
Yeah, like there's some really bad Fletcher quotes like really, really brutal. Like I'll
Yeah.
save them for later on just to get keep people listening.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean, there's some I really hope you don't say.
No, no, that trust me, all of them are reasonably fine, reasonably.
Okay. But you know what confuses me most about this film, and like I would say is my one, like the closest thing I have to a critique is the romance of the film, because I don't think it really serves any purpose, like in my opinion, and I don't really understand why the two of them would ever think that they would have a good relationship. Because I've written a note, but I actually watched this film like 3 weeks ago or so, so I don't actually remember who said this to who. But one of them says, "Get out! No, I'm just messing with you." Basically, I don't know. I don't even know whether I've paraphrased that or not. But I just said, why would anyone go out with someone who said that to them?
Yeah, like I
I,
think
s- I assume Andrew said that to Nicole, but I wouldn't be sure.
especially in films where the main protagonist has a deep love for their art. So, you know, Andrew with his music, I think that 100% in any film with a plot like that takes away from the love interest. Maybe like La La Land is an exception where it is inherently like a rom com, but in this, because it's not inherently sort of a rom com, I think, like you said, the romance does get derailed. I think.
Yeah, I counted, and I think in person she only has 4 scenes or something.
Yeah,
So I
it's not
mean,
that many at all, really, is it?
yeah, I really don't think it served any purpose. And you know, if you do disagree with us, please mention in the comments because I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, like that would be my closest thing to critique. That you know, it could have just been trimmed for time.
Yeah. No,
You know,
I
like
agree.
I think just like give devoting more family to more time to you know how his family saw his music career. I don't think you really needed. Like I think it served the purpose of showing that like more than anyone else in that university, he was willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
So he was willing to give up on his romance, but he didn't even like seem to like her. Like he seemed so bored and uninterested on the dates. Like it didn't really seem like he was sacrificing anything.
That's the thing. Like maybe that's an intentional to suggest how engrossed Andrew is in his love for the drums, but I sort of did get that as well. Like he seemed unmotivated to pursue that relationship.
Yeah, I'm like, this is Melissa Benoist. It's Supergirl. You know, like she is more important than the drums.
I know, like it's just the my favorite aspect of the film is not the relationship Andrew has with his drums or Nicole, but him with Fletcher.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that is
that is
just
the
is just
crux.
awesome. Like there's so many great scenes. Like probably the best one, and this isn't necessarily chronological, but probably the best scene in the film for me is the "Not Quite My Tempo" scene.
Yes, yes.
That is just incredible cinema for me. And just when he just throws the chair at them as well and slaps them, that is just completely brutal as well. And there's so many like
Yeah.
hilarious quotes in there, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so well written.
As I said, you know that's the scene that was adapted from the short film, and
Yeah,
I can tell you, like, it's so like there's a big difference between the two, even in just the lighting of the scene.
yeah,
You know the way the whole room is sort of engrossed in red, like
yeah,
it's so visually interesting.
yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
like the short film, of course, the performances and the writing are so impressive,
Mm.
but I think sort of the set design and lighting is you know sort of it's less impressive than the film, but obviously you know you don't have the financial resources to do a movie level visual type.
Yeah, like I think that's the thing about Damien Chazelle films. Like they're so well shot that, especially this film, like the lighting and stuff is amazing. So you know, I think that just adds to like the gravitas of Fletcher's performance, of J.K. Simmons' performance, because he's in such like a, I don't know if you got this as well, but all of his scenes are sort of like claustrophobic. Like it's sort of like quite an enclosed environment, so it makes you feel like it's just the band and Fletcher. So I thought that was really interesting dynamic, and he's just so, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but it's just so like He's just so agitated all the time, and I think that's just such a masterful performance from J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, and I think definitely the editing I think adds to that because whenever the band is playing, like they have such shots of like the instruments in such quick succession, like
Yeah.
it's so like
Snap, 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 sort of.
yeah, and the music obviously lifts that to a whole different level, and it's all just so impressive to me.
Definitely, bro. Definitely. Couldn't agree more.
What I was thinking about, which I've written down, which I just find hilarious, is that there's one scene where Miles Teller just watches home videos of himself.
That reminds me of us in like 20 years when we're watching back like Movie Mates podcast episodes thinking,
I'm just like, oh yes, genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but like you see himself playing, like watching himself like watch a video of himself playing the drums as a child, and he's just like nodding his head like, yeah, I'm the best.
I'm the boss. Yeah. Yeah.
And like he is obviously incredibly impressive at the drums, but I mean, I would never look back. Like, I don't want to watch videos of me as a child, let alone like to like celebrate myself.
But no, I guess he's just finding inspiration from himself.
I suppose. Uh, okay, like if you had screwed over Fletcher by getting him fired, obviously he deserved to be fired. But would you ever be stupid enough to rejoin him?
No. He's a very scary man. I wouldn't want to piss him off again.
Man.
Very scary man. Just a few quotes I've got. I think there's one particular scene he's when he's testing the students to like comprise the band basically, and he asked someone to play the drums, but then he was like, no, other drums, which I thought was this film's version of like the Whoopsie Wave, kind of. And also like, this, I don't know if I can say this. It's there's no like racist or like derogatory remarks in particular. It's just when Fletcher goes, "That is not your boyfriend's dick. Do not come early." I was just like, that is quite funny. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously incredibly sexist, coming from that character. But that character is obviously just an arrogant prick.
Do you think this? I can't remember if this film or if J.K. Simmons got criticism for some of his lines in this film, because obviously there's quite a few derogatory slurs and derogatory epithets that he calls people, which aren't acceptable. But I guess because it's in this world of cinema and stuff, like it's not the actor actually saying it, it's just a character, so I guess that probably excuses it. But I don't know, do you think it got a backlash?
Well, this was a similar thing that I was thinking about this earlier today about Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained. Because obviously he uses the N-word in that film, but in the context of the film is portraying a critique of that behavior. It's not like they're glorifying that person as justified in doing that.
Yeah.
So as long as Fletcher is obviously the antagonist of the film, or at least the closest thing to an antagonistic character. So they're obviously criticizing his behavior rather than glorifying it. So I think that's where the line is drawn, where he's an actor giving a performance, and the performance is that of a person who's a piece of shit. So that's fine.
I think that's a great way of putting it. Like you've nailed it there, mate. 100%. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't have been stupid enough to rejoin Fletcher after I had literally got him fired. So like we can't exactly say that Neiman's a genius, can we?
No.
No. I mean, he's just opening himself up to that abuse again, and he's willing himself to be in that toxic relationship again. So he's kind of a character that you can't really feel sorry for in the end.
Yeah, I guess it's his own doing, isn't it?
Yeah, at least in the latter, like in the final act. Did you have any points for like the first two acts? Because I wanted, my next point is just about the final performance.
I just mentioned, as I say, like not quite my tempo and stuff. Like I didn't actually realize like your hands probably could bleed from playing the trumpet, or not the trumpet, the drums. Sorry, did I say trumpet?
The drums, because they'd be like completely calloused, and you're giving yourself constant splinters, presumably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
oh, go ahead.
just I really find Miles Teller's like raw aggression in the scene where he like punches through the skin of the drum.
Yeah,
Like I find that just like that raw aggression really believable, and I think his performance is incredible.
I agree. Especially, and what links quite well to that point is, the scene where he wins back like the core drummer spot.
Yeah,
I thought that was marvelous because like you can just see the raw, as you said, just the raw aggression and the raw determination like to win back that spot for the final performance.
yeah.
And what one question I had just before, Bud, you mentioned the final performance. Do you think deep down Fletcher is a good guy who just wants the best for Andrew and the band?
Yeah, I think you see that in everything he said in that conversation in the bar. I think he believes it. I think he is just looking for the right talent, and he believes that he's the one to bring it out and find it.
Yeah,
So I think he is looking for his muse. But I just think I think he's going about it the wrong way, because you can scream in people's face, but I think when it gets to the violent side of how he behaves, that's where it's easily criticized.
yeah,
uh Obviously his actions previously had led to like his protege killing himself, which is where it takes a very dark turn, and is the main reason why he got fired, which is obviously very understandable why he did
yeah.
get fired.
Hmm.
So yeah, I believe he is just looking for that unhoned talent in Andrew, which I think is evident in the final performance.
Yeah, like I don't know whether another question I wanted to ask you. Like, do you think, and obviously it is hard to determine from like an hour and a half 2 hour film, uh, so much about the character. But do you think his character is inherently like really aggressive, or do you think that's a tactic he uses to try and get the most out of Andrew in the band? Like, do you think that is his personality, that he's just so raw, aggressive, and rude, or do you think that's just something that he uses to bring the best out of people?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the film, he uses the example of Charlie Parker getting the symbol thrown at his head,
Yeah.
uh, or was it? I don't remember which way around it was, because I'm not hugely into the history of jazz, so I didn't really know about that until the film brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
But I think he's just heard that one example and ran with it.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so.
that's just I think that's just his in his head the best example of teaching, because that worked out one time. But
Yeah.
he's giving that one example of violence to bring out talent, but he's not bringing up the millions of the thousands of other musicians who just got good lessons and became talented.
Yeah.
You know,
No, definitely.
obviously he says that he wants to create the best, but like start off with just teaching them the basics, and then I guess if you want to like hone out, who's the best, and like sort of separate the wheat from the chaff, like then move into your more aggressive tactics. But I
Yeah.
think doing that from the beginning is flawed behavior.
I think you're right, mate. 100% agree. Like, do you want to head on and crack right on with the final point on the final performance?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you. Obviously, it's sort of a marvel of musical talent, but does it go on for an uncomfortably long amount of time to you?
I think so. Like, I don't know, like, especially Andrew's solo, I think. How do you feel
Yeah,
about that? Like, do you think do you think Andrew would have reached the level that he did without Fletcher pushing him?
I don't think he would have in that amount of time. Like, I think if someone had told him how he could be better, he would have tried to improve, and it would have happened over a longer period of time. But I don't think he would have excelled as quickly.
Hmm.
But yeah, I find his solo uncomfortably long, but I think that's the point,
Yeah.
because it's meant to show that he's taking charge from like he's taking power away from Fletcher, and showing how he's improved.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Especially there's one particular line that stands out that sort of like switches the power dynamic in the film, I guess, doesn't it? From like Fletcher being in control of the orchestra, and now it's Andrew sort of. And there's one line when Fletcher goes like, "I will gouge out your motherfucking eyes," like halfway through the final performance. I just thought it was gold. Loved it.
Yeah, I love J.K. Simmons on every level. He's just a wonderful guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have any final points? That was all from me.
Um, no, not really. I just general like loved his performance. Like he's a really, I don't know whether it's just because like he just has such an aggressive characterization of Fletcher, but like he just even physically, like he's a very intimidating man, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, like, because for a man of his age, he's huge. Like, he's jacked. So like, there's like veins popping all around his
Yeah,
body. Like, he looks like
that's what I
someone.
mean, mate. Yeah,
Like,
definitely,
he's physically scary. It's like it's not just his dialogue and his
yeah,
delivery. Like, he's a physically imposing figure.
definitely, mate, definitely. Do you want to just head right into the ratings then? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
sure.
what would you give it, mate?
Well, taking into consideration the romance and how I feel like that could have been trimmed for time, because I sort of feel like they wasted Melissa Benoist because she's such a wonderful actress, and she's such a bright presence to any media that she's in, and to give her like three scenes and just have like the main character be completely disinterested in her, I think it could have been handled better. So I'd give it a solid 9.5.
9.5. I think
Yeah.
I'd go for a 9. Yeah, as I say, like I think we can both agree it's a marvelous film with great performances,
Yeah.
really good script as well. Yeah.
Like this was actually my second viewing of the film, so I think if you and I enjoyed it much more the second time.
Okay.
Uh, I think if you maybe look back at it in a few years, you might grow to appreciate it even more.
Yeah. Hopefully so.
You know,
I loved it.
that's for you, but I think you might.
Yeah. Oh, is the next one A Star Is Born then? Yeah, chronologically.
It would be. Uh, mm, I'm not 100%. Like, if can you cut this bit out if I just check the release dates?
Yeah, no worries. I think it's Star Is Born's 2018. Yesterday's 2019. I think maybe not actually.
Yeah, no, you're right, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I got confused. So we're talking about Stars Born next.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
So
So,
do you want to open us up then with any opening thoughts?
well, obviously, the in say films such as Whiplash, and Yesterday, the theme isn't always on the music. In Whiplash, it's about a character striving to reach his potential, and Yesterday is sort of like a fun comedic romp about, and it's kind of a romance film in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
this film is about music, unquestionably. I think like there's constant performances, so I just wanted to talk about the quality of the music that was written for the film.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's so rare that just every song is an absolute banger.
Absolute
And
tune, mate, honestly.
every film, I mean, I think it was like such a good decision to open the film with Bradley Cooper, because he's sort of the underdog of the film, because he's more famous for his acting, and Lady Gaga is obviously famous for her music. So to actually start the film with the actor being a musician,
It's
I like
bold.
I think that was an interesting choice, and that's honestly one of the best. I mean, if you consider he would be considered a country musician in this film, right?
I would say so, yeah, definitely. A
But
folk country, yeah, yeah.
like his performance of Black Eyes is incredible in the beginning. Uh, yeah, and as I said, like I think it was just a really interesting choice, obviously by Bradley Cooper, who
Yeah,
directed the
he
film.
direct, yeah, that
Uh,
I found that really interesting because like I just think my first point is holy shit, Lady Gaga can act. Like she's good. Bradley
were you
Cooper.
surprised?
I was a little surprised because obviously like sometimes you don't know whether singers and stuff can make that leap sort of between acting and performing. So I don't
There are
know, Bradley
some who
Cooper's all what is it?
there are some who feel dramatically.
Well, that's the thing. Like Bradley Cooper's obviously an inspired cast. Well, he casted himself, but
Yeah.
like
I I assume he was cast in the film and then signed on to direct after.
yeah, because I have a note here that uh, both Jennifer Lopez, Rihanna, Shakira, Janelle Monáe, Kesha, and Demi Lovato were all considered for the role of Ali, which I thought was really interesting because there is a broad range of sort of genres of music in there. I think.
Yeah, like talent, age, and genre. There's a huge range.
Exactly. Like,
Uh,
I would say, you know, Rihanna and Demi Lovato are probably like a bit younger than Lady Gaga, but then Jennifer Lopez is, I think she's in her 50s. So there is a broad range there.
yeah, but I think they definitely went with the best
Oh
choice.
yeah, 100%. Like it's strange because I don't know if we wanted to reveal our favorite song of the film now or not.
Yeah, sure, we can go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
so well,
So,
I'm really interested to see what yours is.
well, like in all honesty, my brother is probably the biggest fan of Lady Gaga I've ever met, and the biggest fan of this film. So I had heard "Shallow" about 50 times before the film even came out, and then I didn't see the film until a few weeks ago. So I've probably heard "Shallow," 80 to 100
Let's
times.
put it this way:
So
you can recall the words.
yeah, I expected it to be incredibly played out, but it was fantastic, the performance.
Yeah,
But I would still have to say, I think the opening performance, "Black Eyes" by Bradley Cooper, is my favorite.
that's
What would
interesting
you think?
because yeah, I see originally before I had seen this, I was sort of similar to you. Like I had heard "Shallow" before the film, but my favorite is Gaga's performance of "La Vie en Rose."
Oh yeah, that is sensational in
Love
the
because
drag bar.
yeah, I always remember like watching that Edith Piaf, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
Edith Piaf. Yeah.
her sort of film during French class in like year 10 and stuff, and hearing that song for the first time then was great. But Gaga's is just as good, I
Like
think.
you got treated like a king in year 10 French class. Like I got treated like fucking dirt, and you're watching movies.
Yeah, yeah, we watched a lot of movies.
Like oh, wow. Uh,
But yeah, no,
yeah.
there's some great songs in here, undoubtedly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the performance of Le'Veon Rose is one of the earliest in the film. So, did you want to get into sort of the opening act and their initial interaction? As I said in our review of Whiplash, I don't often note lighting, but the lighting of the drag bar I think is very similar to the Not Quite My Tempo scene in that
Yeah,
it's sort of like you know
red, sort of.
uh, encapsulated in red, which I think was incredibly visually intriguing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like especially because like I think this film and so this sort of relates to like different lighting because it does mix a lot of different themes in there as well. Like with I really respect how the film sort of has a diverse range of lighting and shots, but also in relation to that, like I really respect how this film deals with the subjects of addiction and alcoholism, which is
Yeah.
obviously I'd imagine is rife within the music industry in Hollywood. So it is sort of like a contemporary study of that, I suppose, as well. But no, like this film, like you said, like it is much more than just like a romance film. It is music film. It's a music film. It's a film about addiction. Like there's so many different themes in there.
Yeah. I was wondering, is like live music and drag in a bar like your vibe? Like, would that be something that you would like go out of your way to say?
I wouldn't rule it out. Wouldn't rule it out. Don't
Okay.
knock it until you try it.
Yeah. Do you want to hit up
We
a
will.
club?
That'll be fun.
Uh, yeah. I mean, just I think every interaction between Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, especially their first, is so uncomfortable. Like it like makes my skin crawl how awkward he is.
He's like,
Like he's
isn't it the line like, "Hey," and then she turns around. He's just like, "I just wanted another look at you." Like that was smooth. I thought though.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to take into fact the slow motion nose stroke, uh, and then I think he sucks a ring off her finger. Like you
Smooth.
know, it was like it was a really 50-50 toss up whether she was going to marry him or like he was going to get me too'd because like
Yeah, yeah. He was quite forward, wasn't he?
yeah, like he's such an intense creep, and like I don't understand why she fell for him because she clearly doesn't like give a shit about his music. Like she doesn't give a shit he's a celebrity. So like, what did she find good about him?
I know, I know.
Like,
Like,
what was she attracted to other than his face? Obviously,
I don't know. Maybe personality does count for a lot, but then when you think about how
but
creepy he was, maybe not.
like he has like a really creepy personality. At least in their initial reaction. obviously I can't attest to like the not seen moments between them.
But yeah, like I just another this is sort of relation to that, but like I just find Jack really hard to understand.
Oh yeah, incredibly. I had to have the subtitles on,
Did you
but
actually?
yeah, I suppose
Love
it's
it.
because obviously there's the subplot of him going deaf.
Yeah.
So I suppose maybe that's a part of it. That but it's not that he's speaking quietly; it's that he's mumbling.
Yeah, it's the country accent as well. I'm a big fan of the country accent, but sometimes like you said, it sort of mumbles a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I also find it difficult to understand. It was a struggle throughout. Uh, and I was surprised. Obviously, him and Ali perform on stage their rendition of "Shallow."
Yeah.
But how did he remember any of the lyrics that she sang him like the night before, whatever, when he was so drunk?
I know, like it's good memory.
Yeah, I mean, and I was surprised that she seemed like flattered at her like taking her lyrics and making a song, but now he's like giving himself credit for like a song that she came up with.
And like see during that scene, like I think what's really poignant about it is like you never really see Jack as happy as during like that song and the aftermath of it, sort of like it's really well shot as well, like as you said before, like beautiful lighting, great cinematography and stuff. And like I do have a few like not necessarily criticisms of the film, but just a few questions like I wanted to ask you later on. But no, like as you said, like Shallow is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, then following that performance and further performances she does with Jack, she sort of skyrockets to fame,
Yeah.
and she seems so surprised that like the music industry are like trying to change her image, even though it's like so well documented that the music industry does that.
That's the
No
thing.
no one really comes through the music industry doing exactly what they want.
Yeah, like no one ever starts off and then finishes at the same sort of level. Like everyone's characterization has changed throughout the years, and that sort of relates to what I wanted to ask you. Like, is Ali's meteoric rise to fame realistic to you?
Um, I don't think so because sort of she gets a separate record deal whilst recording with Jack, but Jack already seems like sort of a has-been musician. Like it doesn't, I don't really think he would have got the traction to give her sort of like the leg up that she needed.
Hmm.
Like sort of for example in Yesterday, Jack acts as like the opening act for Ed Sheeran,
Yeah,
who's obviously an incredibly well-known modern musician.
yeah.
So like I don't think her acting as an opening act for like sort of a has-been musician would have skyrocketed her to the fame that she reached in such a quick amount of time.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think it is a bit unrealistic, but I just love like probably my favorite shot of the movie. It's quite an unusual one. You know, like the massive shot of the giant billboard of Ali. It sort of like characterizes her of the star of the film now, and how like as you said, like Jack is sort of the underdog of the film.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like the film opens with him, and she's sort of like grabbed the control.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's made herself the main event, but I don't think she intended it that way because like she loves Jack throughout the film. Like I
Yeah.
don't think there was ever any bad intent from her. Like, I think she did her best to to make sure that Jack was taken care of.
Yeah. 100%.
Uh, like it did astound me like how so many people enjoy the likes of her music these days. Like she's making like like modern pop garbage, and there's so many performers like that these days that people love so much, and I just don't get it.
Like every song sounds the same sort of thing.
Yeah, every song sounds the same, and it's all high pitched nonsense, and the
Yeah.
lyrics have no meaning. Obviously, that doesn't go for every modern piece of music. There's a modicum of film of music that I like from these days. I'm not being like a music snob or
No, I
something.
know. I know where you're coming from. Like, one thing I sort of wanted to ask you as well about the film was like, do you think that the film unnecessarily characterizes Ali as Lady Gaga? If you know what I mean, like her image of Ali is very, and especially her music is very similar to Lady Gaga's. But like, I'm actually a big fan of Lady Gaga's music. I don't listen to it regularly, but I think she's very talented, and I respect her as an artist. But I think this film sort of does characterize her as Gaga way too much. I don't know if you got that.
Yeah, I suppose I'd never really thought about it, but I guess that's who she is, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe they weren't confident in her acting ability, that she had like a huge amount of range to play a character too unlike herself.
Yeah, that being said, like it's not necessarily the film's fault, because obviously, like it is a remake of when it was, it was like 1930s, I think, or something.
This is actually the third remake.
Is it?
Yeah, there's been four A Star Is Born films.
Okay. Oh,
One starred, I think Julie Garland,
okay.
or it was either Julie Garland or Liza Minnelli, and then one had Barbara Streisand. I don't remember the other one. I mean, those might not even be right, but I'm just gonna throw them out there. Yeah. So, like, do you remember the cover of "Oh Pretty Woman"? You know the way they did the performance, where Jack is just completely blocked on stage, and he's playing guitar.
It,
I just want to point out that, like, that cover is fucking dreadful.
like
Like,
I don't.
like obviously, like, the singing is good, and the musical instruments. I'm not knocking that. I'm just like knocking their interpretation of like the lyrics, and the tempo of the music was not for me.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. This is sort of like an unrelated point, but throughout the film, like I kept seeing other actors, like especially like with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Like for some reason, they remind me of like Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson, especially the Scarlett Johansson, Lady Gaga. I think they sound really similar.
Yeah, I see that.
And
Yeah,
do you know the music producer Rez? Yeah.
yeah, I
It kind of
remember.
reminds me of the actor who plays Ralph Dibny from The Flash. I don't know if you got that as well, but sort of similar.
Hardly. Yeah,
I don't
like,
know.
unfortunately, I don't think I see that one.
No, but
But
no, like, and you know who? This is the first. I haven't seen Sam Elliott in a film since Hulk. Actually,
I, well, he was in. Wait, who was he in Hulk? Oh, he was General Ross.
yeah.
Yeah, he was also in Ghost Rider. Remember, he played the Gravedigger.
Yes, yeah. Oh my, was that him?
That was Sam Elliott. Yeah.
Oh man.
Uh, yeah, I don't recall seeing him in much else. I'm sure he's in a lot of famous films. But we still have to wade our way through some of the classics.
Yeah, cracking
So
mustache.
I'm sure we'll be seeing that cracking mustache sometime soon. Uh, yeah, obviously we have to be very sensitive about what one of the most you know sad parts of the film, in which Jack commits suicide.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I don't have much to say about that. It's just obviously a point that we have to touch on.
It is heartbreaking,
But
isn't it?
it's a devastating moment in the film, and you can see that Ali is obviously shattered by it.
Yeah. I think what makes it even more heartbreaking is like sort of Rez's subtle manipulation of Jack throughout the film, you know?
Yeah, sort of. He's the last person to sort of antagonize him and convince him that he's ruined Ali's career and her personal life. And
Yeah.
he says you should just get out of her life, which he takes very seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a devastating moment, and Ali's reaction to it. Hats off to Lady Gaga, because it felt really raw and
It felt
emotional.
real. It felt real. That's the thing. And I think this film is a really great social commentary on the struggles within the industry of music and film. And
Yeah,
I think just, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, especially Gaga, like she's excellent, I think. Really, really. And
yeah,
like you said, it's such a raw struggle there.
yeah. I fully agree with you. I just had a point that I feel like this story is maybe intentionally told through hair, because Gaga sort of starts with the hair color and then ends with that hair color, and it's sort of meant to be her cyclical journey of
Full
like
circle, yeah.
uh, of realizing that she needs to remain herself. you
That's
know,
interesting.
and
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Like,
you
I
know,
suppose, like, yeah, that's actually, I never actually picked up on that. Like, she sort of like the sudden like epiphany moment, I guess, that after Jack's like heartbreaking death, like she has to be herself in the industry.
yeah. To be honest, I wrote this weeks ago. I don't even know if that's bullshit or not. Like, you
We'll
know,
go with it.
not
We'll
even,
go with it.
we'll go with it because it's a good point.
It
But it's just an incredible directorial debut from Bradley.
really is. Has he made any films since? Because I would love to see more of his work.
Not to my knowledge, but I would say it's probably the strongest directorial debut I've seen.
Certainly.
And you know, he won a cascade of awards for it, and you know, I'm really happy for him.
I would say it's certainly up there with Don John for directorial debuts.
Oh yeah, 100%. Which we definitely need to get around to talking to.
Oh, love that film. I love it.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, do you have any
Were
other
there any?
points?
That's all from me.
Yeah. Ratings then. What would you give it, dude?
I'd give it an 8.5. Because it did feel like a really, you know, a real and interesting introspective look at the music industry, and obviously the struggles that are put upon you, and the addictions that form as a result.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was a really beautiful portrayal of all of that, and you know, it really made me feel things. And again, the performances of Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga and the direction of Bradley were all sensational.
I couldn't agree with you, man. Honestly, like I'd probably give it a 9 as well. Similar to Whiplash, like there's just so much I love about it, and I think it just mixes so many themes so well, and it's just it is close to being flawless. I think it's, and as I said, like for a directorial debut, really good start for B Coops there.
100%.
But did you want to kick us off with our third and final film of today, which is Yesterday?
Yes. Yes. So finally, we'll be talking about Yesterday, a film which I recently had my second viewing of,
Okay,
and I think it's even better on the second watch.
good
I
to
assume you've
hear.
just seen it once.
Like this film,
This first viewing of it, wasn't it?
what is it? Sorry.
This was your first viewing, wasn't it?
First viewing, yeah, I got it in DVD just before lockdown. So
Oh no.
yeah, so I didn't actually realize like this film was produced by your favorite Richard Curtis.
Oh yeah, you can definitely feel that. I think.
I 100% like as the film progresses, there are definite like I'm sure you'll be more aware of it than I am, but like Curtis undertones sort of.
Yeah, because obviously a producer does have like a surprisingly strong influence on a film, which I didn't really understand until I'd sort of looked more into the film business as like a potential career.
Mhm.
I didn't know what huge influence they had,
Yeah,
and although the romance isn't like as prevalent in a normal Curtis film, like I think it definitely feels very Curtis-esque, despite him
definitely,
not being the actual director or writer.
definitely.
Did you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so like just I just googled a few like sort of context points that I thought were really interesting. Like it said it would cost around $10 million to get the rights for the Beatles songs in this film, which I thought was crazy. Like that's good. Like that's dedication.
That doesn't surprise me at all, though. I'm
Yep.
like, you
Yeah.
know, it is normal for you know a film's budget to you know dedicate quite a lot to you know getting the right musical choices.
Yeah.
But I mean, to get the whole selection of Beatles songs for that amount of money, I think is perfectly fair.
Yeah, there's some great ones, and well, all of them are great.
Like for that basically being what the plot revolves around, I think it's you know pretty integral, and
Yeah.
I think they probably got quite a good deal on that.
Like another thing I noted was originally cast in Lily James's role was Anna de Armas, which I thought would have been equally as good. But like,
She is an incredible actress, but I mean I don't know if you know this, but like Lily James is like one of my like ultimate
no, I
celebrity
know.
crushes.
I actually put it down here. Like, I put the notes like Callum will love Lily James. Just she's so heartwarming or something, right? Like,
Yeah, just every performance she has, she makes me
you love
feel
her so
something.
much.
Like she's just such an incredible actress.
She
And
is.
I just
She
don't
is.
understand how it took so long for Jack to make a move when it's Lily James.
You would have
Like
been
she,
straight in there.
well, just because she's so delightful.
She is so fantastic. She's just a wonderful person in this film, and in general, I'd imagine.
No, I mean, obviously, I don't know her personally, but going off all of my favorite performances in films, which I'd say would be this and probably Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Uh, I think she's less interesting when she has an American accent, though. Like, I think her charm really comes out when she's just allowed to be herself.
Yeah, yeah,
Like in Baby Driver, I didn't really feel that she was giving her all because she was sort of forced into the box of having to be an American.
yeah, yeah.
But
Allowed her to express herself more.
yeah, it's untamed Lily, and I loved her performance.
Love it, love it.
I have to say that Himish Patel is like an incredible musician.
He's so underrated. I think great voice and a really excellent guitarist. I think.
Yeah, I'd never heard him like reviewed as like the standout of the film, but I mean his musical talent is one of the absolute best parts of the film.
Yeah, like this is the first film I think I've seen him in, and he's just so lovable and likable. I think like you can definitely side with him for most of the film. I'll get into maybe a slight criticism later, but no, I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean just getting into sort of the start of the film, his friends seem so unenthused to be at his gigs, and his songs aren't bad, but he just gets like kicked the
Good.
shit out of him.
I know,
Yeah,
like it's just yeah, like it seems like Lily James is the only one that sort of is rallying for him.
yeah, like no one could give a shit.
I know,
Like
I
it,
know.
it, it takes long for him to get attention, and like his songs I think are really good.
I think so.
You
I think so.
because they're I think they just didn't meet the standards of like modern tastes of music
Yeah.
because he's clearly a fan of like classic
You
classic
know,
classic music.
it upset me when like no one was really at his gig. It was just like a few children playing in a shed.
Yeah, it was embarrassing for him because like he deserved better.
He did. He did. He definitely did. One sort of question, I guess, like similar in a similar fashion to how we talked about A Star Is Born. Like, what is your favorite? I have two questions. It's like, what is your favorite Beatles song of all time? Which I think I know, and also, what is your favorite Beatles
Yeah.
song featured in the film?
Well, my favorite Beatles song is "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," which isn't in the film, which I wrote down as like, what are they doing? Uh, and then I would say my favorite performance in the film is probably his performance of "Yesterday."
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
What are your feelings?
I would say my favorite Beatles song of all time is probably either Octopus's Garden or When I Get Home. But my favorite Beatles song in the film is probably Back in the USSR.
Oh, it's incredibly energetic. I think that's one of the rare few that that improves upon the Beatles version.
Yeah, because it's like
Controversial,
electric. No, I agree. I agree. I put it down like it's dynamite. It's great.
because going through this film, I was hoping to find some like untapped gold of the Beatles, for me to listen to, like because I hadn't really listened to Yesterday or Let It Be properly before.
Oh, Let It
So
Be so
I'd also
good.
made
Oh, so
I,
good.
I'd made a note to listen to the Beatles back in the USSR, and I was underwhelmed by theirs, but I found great energy in his.
100%. Couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how far away do Ellie and Jack live for him to like, for her to drive him to his bike? Like, how far away does he live?
Probably, yeah, that was a confusing choice.
Like, they say he can't drive, so that's why he cycles home. But what,
Yeah,
like, how far away do they live from each other?
I don't
That
know.
she's like, yeah, I'll give you a lift to your bike.
Yeah, it seems like quite a small town as well. Like it shouldn't be that far.
Yeah, if she really loved him, she would have driven him all the way home. I, I think it's just because they had. I think it's just because they had to balance like the fact that they need to have conversations with them in the car, but also he had to be hit by the bus whilst he was on his bike. So like they've
Yeah,
made the weird decision to have her drive him to his bike.
I know. Like, see, mate, see when he lost his
That's
teeth, sort of when he got hit by the bus, that just made me
yeah,
scream. I hate that.
yeah, a bit gross. Uh, like whilst I'm obviously like a really big Beatles fan, and I know you love
Sure,
the Beatles.
sure.
Like I don't think the modern audiences like would repeat Beatlemania. Like it seems that the modern taste of teenagers is pop garbage, as I said. We were talking about The Star Is Born.
Well,
Like I
yeah,
really don't think I really don't think Beatlemania would happen again. Like I think you see like teenagers filling up like the stadiums of his concert, and loving his music, and
yeah.
I don't know that that happened.
No, I think it's probably. I don't think that's a thing that, as you said, I don't think that's a thing that can be like repeated overnight. I think that was like sort of destined to happen in like the 1960s. Like, I don't think it would have worked here, like
Yeah,
as in now, like 2020.
yeah. Like I would say that's probably the biggest like stretch in believability, other than this being an alternate universe.
Yeah,
You know, like I just don't know that I believe that because I maybe know like six or so teenagers that love the Beatles like as much as I do, and obviously like that doesn't fill a stadium.
no, no. But like,
So,
do you think? I don't know if there is any. I haven't really researched into it that much, but like, is there any specific connection between the things that are forgotten, like the Beatles and like Coca-Cola and Harry Potter and stuff?
uh, I mean, other than just them being like huge famous staples of pop culture, I guess not that I picked up anyway.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that like that's a world that I'd be okay to live in. Like I can live without Harry Potter and Coca Cola, and if he was delivering the Beatles songs, I guess you wouldn't know any better.
True, true.
It's not like it's a hellscape or anything. Like
Yeah,
it seems like if you were dropped into that, like that would be a survivable life.
yeah.
Uh, it's weird to me that his instinct was to record a CD rather than just put his songs up digitally.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I guess sort of he was inspired by like the authenticity of like the Beatles' work, so then he sort of did it in the same vein. But yeah, like digital, you would have thought would have got more traction.
Yeah, because
One of
like
my,
he puts up his own songs like on the warehouse website, and then he gives out free CDs. Like, I
yeah,
don't think that would spread as quickly as it seems
no,
to.
yeah, like,
I guess that's what made him like a local star, which put him on TV, which got him to meet Ed Sheeran. So it was sort of like a snowballing effect.
mhm.
But I think it would have got more attention quicker had he done it digitally.
I think so too. Like one of my favorite one of my favorite scenes in the film is like his passionate defense of "Let It Be," like which is I think that's really a really smart comedic choice because like considering no one else has heard it, but like he is actually right because it is like by all accounts a masterpiece, but obviously no one's heard it before.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, I thought like you know what? Like, did you want to talk about Ed Sheeran in this film?
I have no points about Ed Sheeran,
I
if I'm
actually
honest, but
do you like his music? I've never asked you this.
um, I'm like 50-50 on it. Like it seems a bit basic, but like I don't outright dislike it.
Hmm.
You know, like there's a couple that I do genuinely like, and then the other ones I tolerate. Like there are people that I know that genuinely dislike his music, and I
I
don't
think
really
it's
get
good.
that.
I sort of had like a
Inoffensive, like I don't really see how you could have like an issue with it.
like I quite like Castle on the Hill and Galway Girl. Like I think they're two good ones. And then you've got like the classics like Lego House and stuff, which are good. But like I've
Yeah,
heard a lot of people say like his songs do sound the same. Do you agree?
yeah. I don't think he has a wide range, but I mean I don't really see an issue with that. If it's good, it's good. It doesn't
Yeah,
really matter if it's repetitive.
yeah.
That wouldn't be my issue with his music. Well, were there any points regarding Ed Sheeran you wanted to go through?
No, I just one thing I really enjoy. I think he's actually quite comedically funny. I don't know if you got that as well. I think he's quite talented, and
Yeah,
what one of my favorite sort of moments of his is when like he just concedes that Jack's 10-minute song is just way better than his, And then he's like,
Yeah,
somebody should probably shag him while they have the chance. Like, I thought it was quite funny.
that scene was the one time that I actually lost respect for Jack, because I think all of his other actions are defensible, because he never actually claims that he wrote any of the other songs. But that's the one time where he's like, "Oh yeah, I wrote the Long and Winding Road in 10 minutes,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and then that sort of like embarrasses Ed as well. So like that was the one time where I lost respect for Jack.
Yeah, like I just have in the notes like exactly what you said. Sort of, I feel sort of bad for him. Like he is like not Jack, Ed. Like Ed is generally like he probably feels embarrassed and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
but what one sort of question I guess sort of relates to that was, do you think it's like do you find it weird that no one picks up on the instant genius of his songs? Like I think I can't remember it, but I think in one scene he's on like the Late Late Show, and James Corden asks him to like riff a song, and he just riffs like a awesome song in like 10 seconds. And likewise with this, in like 10 minutes, he riffs that. Like, do you think it's weird that no one questions like, like it's a bit weird? Like, is it too good
I
almost?
mean, you know the James Corden scene's a dream, though, right?
Yeah, but even still, like I think
Like even still, James Corden's a piece of shit in a
even no, but
dream. Like
even still, like I'd imagine like his version of in that dream, like I'd imagine that people that he surrounds himself with don't question how realistic his music is, or not realistic, how realistic it is that he's so good.
yeah, I mean, like yeah, throughout they do say, "Oh, like you're the biggest superstar in the world right now." Yeah, so I don't know how realistic that rise to fame is, but
Yeah,
I mean, maybe in this world without the Beatles, like we don't really know the rules of the universe.
true.
So I mean, I guess maybe just they're so desperate to have something to connect to that's as good as the Beatles, they just accept it.
Yeah, that was a good point, mate. I know you've nailed it on the head there.
There's one point where Ellie and him reunite in England, and
Mm.
she says, "I don't even know who you are anymore." But I really don't think he's changed significantly at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he's become like a piece of shit. Like I think
No,
he
he's
has
not
the
like
same
yeah,
person. Like I think he has the same personality as he did in the start of the film.
yeah, yeah. I suppose that I sort of do feel bad for her because like her defense, her argument against like I think her argument against a one night stand is fair and just. Like, and I
Oh yeah,
respect her character so much more for that. But like, I don't think maybe the director had made Jack sort of change as much as I would have liked to sort of make that point more valid, as you said.
yeah. Because I mean, it's not really like the fame didn't really go to his head. Like I didn't really feel like at any point he seemed self-absorbed or anything.
Yeah. No, no, me neither. Like he's still perfectly likable, I think, throughout the film.
Yeah. Uh, so obviously in this world without the Beatles, that meant in turn that John Lennon was never killed by a fan.
Yeah.
So we see Robert Carlyle as John Lennon, and he's sensational. I'd
Terrific
say
casting.
he's probably one of the best performances of the film for me.
I think so. Like him and John Lennon, that's just what I would imagine like an older John Lennon to be like, just so remarkably similar.
Yeah, I I think it's some of the best aged up casting I've ever seen.
I agree.
You know
And
where you imagine a figure they been had they had the chance to grow older.
yeah, and he has one of the best lines in the film, I think. You know, when Jack and him are like debating, uh, confessing his feelings to Ellie and stuff, and John Lennon just replies like, "You want a good life? It's not complicated. Just tell the girl you love that you love her." I thought that was just really simple and really well delivered by Robert Carlyle.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a story about John Lennon that I don't actually know if it's bullshit or not. Where he was asked by a teacher for an assignment what he wanted to be in the future, as in a job, and he said happy, and the teacher said you didn't understand the assignment, and he said you don't understand life.
Oh, that's a
You know,
good reply.
yeah. I mean that's probably contrived bullshit, but let's just hope for
Let's
the
go with
best and
it.
say that
Yeah.
was yeah. But yeah, that sort of sentiment I think shines through in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one other point there, like there's so much beautiful cinematography at John Lennon's house by the beach. Like I love that. So well shot.
I'm fact checking myself. Yeah, okay. I was just making sure like it was even a story about John Lennon. I was like, shit, is it about George Harrison or something? But no, no.
Ringo Starr.
Whether it's true or not is open to debate. But it was John Lennon
That's
that it's
good.
attributed to. So obviously, we need to have this debate as to whether Jack has done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Because I know you have your piece to say because you said you have some opinions on this.
I don't think he's done anything wrong.
Yeah.
I think he can be forgiven, but like it's sort of a weird one. Like I don't think what he did was right, but I don't think it was wrong. That's just an oxymoron in itself. But like I think it's like, to be honest, if I had the good, I think most people, if they had the memory to recall the Beatles songs and recite them in a world that the Beatles don't exist or no one remembers them, you'd probably
And
do
have the
what Jack.
talent.
You'd probably do what Jack did if you had the talent.
Yeah. It's just in the context of this universe where he says, I didn't write these songs, and then he names them on stage and says these people wrote the songs. In the context of this universe, that's not even true. Like, I would have just said I didn't write the songs. I wouldn't say I stole them or anything because he didn't steal them in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
In this universe, no one has written them. So he's just, you know, portrayed that he's written them. So I would say I lied. I didn't write them. But
Yeah.
saying the Beatles wrote them and these are their names, that isn't true.
Yeah, like he's just reciting something that never existed, really.
Yeah. I mean, for all he knows, like he's like just insane and has imagined this world and they are his songs. Like
Yeah.
who's to say that that's not what happened?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what are your opinions on it? Like, do you think it's fine what he's done? Yeah.
Oh, like as the other Beatles fans said, like all he was doing was bringing the joy to their life, and then in the end, he doesn't even take the monetary profits for it. So he's brought the Beatles back into the world and not even profited for it. So I think he's in the moral clear. I think.
I think so too. Like, I guess he just is raising awareness on how awesome those songs were and the genius behind their creators. So,
Yeah. Uh, just do you remember the character of Gavin, the guy who started dating Ellie?
yes, yes.
Yeah, he's just the most solid dude ever. He's just like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I know you're gonna be happier with Jack. I guess we can break up. That's fine. Like
It's
he's just
characters
so
like
cool
that
about
you
it.
feel bad for in rom-coms, like the generally good guys, like who just step aside.
Yeah, but like I'm confident that he would have snapped up another lady because he's just a delightful dude.
He's dynamite. He is dynamite.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any more points before we talk about the ending.
Uh, no, my all my points are just about the ending, so you crack right up on
Okay.
ahead, dude.
I think in a way this ending's like kind of bizarre and it's completely unorthodox for this kind of film because like this type of film where like the universe has been changed, it would normally go back to how it was, but they just leave it as it is and he just pursues life
As a
as
music
a
teacher, yeah.
teacher.
Hmm.
Yeah, like it was just bizarre to me. Obviously, not in a critical way. That's like it's not a critique of the film. It was just unorthodox as to how
Yeah.
these films are usually.
Like I guess the stereotypical ending for a film like this would be the universe goes back to the way it was, and Jack has a renowned appreciation for like the success of the Beatles and stuff like that. But
Yeah, exactly. Sort of, it's a wonderful life, like retrospective, like seeing what you did wrong and like amending your mistakes. But even in this universe, he didn't really make mistakes. Like he did something, like he did a good act, like providing the joy of the Beatles music to a society who never heard them.
100%, and like yeah, no, I do agree because it is a very, as you said, bizarre is definitely the right word for it, but I think it works in the film's favor. Like the film is a very like I would describe it as a very special film. Like there's not many films I can compare it to because it's so unique, and I think that works in its favor. Like I like the ending that he just is a music teacher and ends up with Ellie. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd say probably the closest comparison is Groundhog Day. where the universe messes with Phil Connors, but there's never any explanation of why that happened.
How does Groundhog Day end?
Well, spoilers for Groundhog Day. We'll definitely talk about it one day.
Yeah.
In time. But throughout the film, he like spends. I mean, there's been theories as to how many years he spends in Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
There's been rumors of like 20 years, 100 years, whatever. Because
Yeah.
obviously he doesn't eat because he's repeating the same day. And throughout the film, he like amasses a romance with Andy McDowell, which is the name of the actress, not the character. I don't remember the character's name. But the film ends with the time loop breaking once he realizes how important like the romance between him and Andy McDowell is. So the time loop breaks, and then time just works sequentially again, and then he pursues a romance with her. But there's never any explanation of why he's in the time loop. But there is one very good theory, but I'll leave it to when we talk about Groundhog Day, which I hope we do soon, because time loops was one thing that I wanted to talk about sometime soon.
Yeah, like I'd love to talk about. I don't know if you've seen When We First Met on Netflix.
I have, yeah.
It's a very. I think it's probably the closest film I can compare this to. Spoilers for the When We First Met on Netflix. When the character sort of the universe is still. The timeline is mostly like it is mostly the same, but like he has changed it a little. Well, not really, I guess, because
it's not like he goes back to stop himself from going back, and like everything goes back to normal.
Yeah,
there's still a ripple effect of like what he allows to continue.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
It's actually one of my favorite rom-coms. When we first met, I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I've watched it a second time, and I didn't love it. But
I can understand why it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best rom-coms that Netflix have produced.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about that again in time loops or time travel or anything related to that.
Definitely.
I just want to make a desperate plea to the universe that I can finally sit through a film in the 21st century and not see someone flossing. Because once again, this film ends with a full-grown adult man flossing.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
I know. Like, it's just... It's a similar thing with Endgame. Like, it assumes Fortnite will still be popular in 2024 or 2023 or whatever. Like, flossing's old now, right? The kids still do it.
The most recent time I've seen it in person was one of my cousins, I think in 2019.
Okay. But yeah,
still, like, full-grown adults do it. Like, surely you'd be able to, like, I mean, because also that scene is set like 5 years later because they have the two kids.
Yeah, so he's even more out of touch.
Yeah, so like I don't understand how filmmakers don't recognize when something is clearly going to be like, the trend will have stopped by then.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like directors and writers just don't seem to discern like what will be popular in the future.
Mm-hmm. No, I think
I could very easily that was going to go out of favor.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Any other points, buddy?
Well, I had talked to one of our friends, Ben, about this film because he's a
big Beatles fan.
He's probably the biggest Beatles fan I know, which I didn't know until recently.
He also looks remarkably like John Lennon, I think.
Yeah, so he dressed up as John Lennon for Halloween, and it was like it's one of the best costumes I've seen. He just has the right face to be John Lennon-esque.
And the glasses are great. I love them.
The glasses really added to it. And he made a point that I really agree with, that it sort of felt too American to him. It didn't embrace like the Britishness of the Beatles. Like, it sort of felt like a bit like American and sterilized. I don't know. It didn't have like the British charm that a Beatles movie should.
That's a really interesting one, actually. Yeah, because I guess doesn't he go to LA as well?
Yeah, like it's about his like American stardom, which is understandable because obviously, in reality these days, like if you want to be famous and like start a music career, you go to LA. Like, if you want to be a film star, you go to LA.
Yeah.
But it like to me, it lacked like the authenticity of the Britishness of the Beatles.
That's a really interesting point, actually, because I never really noticed, but it's a really peculiar one because I'd imagine the film's audience would be more British than American. So to sort of centralize it on like an American stereotype is an unusual one.
Yeah, which I mean, it's certainly like a unique decision of the filmmaker,
Yeah.
but one that was a bold move to take. But if you're trying to make like the definitive movie about the Beatles, like this kind of movie can only be made once, like a jukebox musical of the Beatles. I would sort of like it to have embraced the Britishness of it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that was my final view
Cool.
on it.
What rating would you give this one, mate?
I would give this another solid 9 out of 10.
Ooh,
I think it really delivers on the romance, the musical performances, and the comedy, which are obviously the staples of this sort of film. And yeah, I think it pretty much excelled in almost every area. But where I would take it down is sort of it being tonally American, which isn't bad. It's just not what I would have desired from this film.
That's a great wrap up of it there, mate. I'd have to agree, give it a 9, and with the points you've just said, definitely, because I think out of the 3 films we've talked about, this and A Star Is Born, definitely, maybe this more actually than A Star Is Born, have the best like romance, and that's probably evident in Richard Curtis's role as the producer. So for that, like, massive props to Hamish Patel and Lily James. Like, they're both so likable, so like warm and charismatic, and yeah, 9 out of 10, really solid film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up for this episode, isn't it, bud?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So on behalf of Callum and myself, thank you very much for everyone who has listened to this. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll be back. I imagine we'll be back very soon with another episode. And
yes.
It's been great recording with you again today. Yeah.
It's been great to see you. Thank you for the loyal subscribers who have stayed throughout the hiatus.
Yes, absolutely.
We had about a 99.9% stay rate. So
I was quite like, I felt very thankful for that. I don't know if you got that as well. Like, they stayed with us.
I was expecting a bit of a drop off because I mean, whilst I love the subscribers. Like I would have expected a level.
Don't
of
trust them.
Yeah, I trust them now because
Yeah,
I know they're loyal.
But yeah, thank you so much, guys, and that'll be us for today. So take care and bye-bye.
Bye.